Very good morning. In the part of academic staff training program, today I am going to give the introduction about the WebDM for wireless communication. So my lecture is going to be covering the overview of the WebDM system and implementation aspects in both the transmission side and the receiving side, and the challenges. What are the challenges have been associated in the implementation of the WebDM? Next slide. So the first slide is going to be giving about a brief overview. When the multi-channel communication has been proposed, then after how it has been developed towards the implementation of the WebDM, then what is the significance of the FFT, where it has been greatly reduced the requirement of number of modulators and the demodulators at both at the transmission side and the receiving side. The paper has been proposed in 1971. It is very useful in the implementation of the WebDM. Further, it has been implemented for the wireless communication in the mobile aspects and both the cases of the video transmission and the audio transmission. Nowadays, it is going to be running towards the 4G technology development, where we are implementing the higher data rates, and by achieving this implementing WebDM, we are going to be achieving the higher data rates. So here the slide is going to give a brief overview about the different phases of the WebDM implementation. Nowadays we are going to be enjoying the 4G technology based on the WebDM, and the further extension for this WebDM you can say it as a MIMO WebDM. In today's lecture, next slide. Yeah. What is the significance of WebDM? Why you are running behind the WebDM for the implementation of the wireless communication? Here clearly we can see we are having two types of modulation techniques. One we are going to discussing about the WebDM. One is the single carrier communication system, and the second one is the multi-carrier communication system. Why you are going for a multi-carrier system even though you are having the single carrier system? What is the difficulties you are having the single carrier system? General multi-path parameters, whatever we have been studying in the earlier classes, by that we can understand that in the single carrier system you are having the inter-symbol interference. So the main objective of the WebDM is to overcome the inter-symbol interference, and you need to reduce the bit error rate whenever you are going to be analyze the system performance. So here how you are going to be implementing the WebDM means, so in the case of single carrier system, whatever the entire bandwidth you are having, that entire bandwidth is going to be utilized by the single carrier, and you are going to be transmitting whatever the block of data you are having, that data is going to be transmitted over the single carrier. So what is the problem here it has been associated means, here we clearly know that here you have two types of fading. One is the flat fading and second one is the frequency selective fading. So the main objective in the wireless communication is you need to overcome the frequency selective fading. So flat fading is not going to be much significant in the wireless communication, whereas the frequency selective fading is going to be greatly degrading your system performance. So what the frequency selective fading is going to be defining is, whatever the baseband signal you are having, if the baseband signal having more bandwidth compared to your coherence bandwidth, in such situations it is going to be experiencing the frequency selective fading. That means that you need to bring down your baseband signal transmission bandwidth. So how you are going to be implementing in the WebDM means, whatever the bandwidth you are having, the bandwidth has been splitted, and you are going to be assigning the multiple carriers for the transmission of your data. So that means generally if you see the practically whatever the coherence bandwidth you are having, the coherence bandwidth will be around 200 to 300 kilohertz. 200 to 300 kilohertz. So that means that whatever the baseband signal you are supposed to transmit, that should be less than 200 or less than 300. Once you are going to satisfy this limitation, you can say that it is not going to be experience the frequency selective fading. Once you are going to be saying that there is no frequency selective fading, it is clearly you can understand that there is no any kind of effect of ISA, inter-symbol interference. So by this WebDM, here you are using a large number of parallel narrowband subcarriers instead of a single wideband carrier for the transportation of your data. And what are the advantages means, here you are having advantage, it is going to be efficient whenever you are going to be transmitting the multi-path environment, robust against the narrowband interference. So disadvantage what here you are having is, it is going to be highly sensitive for the whatever inaccuracies has been present at the receiver side. So here we are going to see how we are going to be implementing the WebDM at the transmitter side and the receiver side, then after what are the impairments we are having in the WebDM system and the challenges. Yes, next. Yeah. So how it is going to be differ from the FDM and the OFDM? The fundamentally it has been developed from the FDM. Whereas in the case of FDM, from the figure you can understand that whatever the bandwidth available, the bandwidth has been splitted, and the whatever the bandwidth you have been sliced, it has been provided with the sufficient guard. So the first figure is going to be showing how you are going to be implementing the FDM. So in the second figure you can understand. Here you are going to be allowing the overlapping of the spectrum. Once you are going to visualize the diagram in the frequency domain, you are going to be allowing your overlapping of the spectrum. So what is the significance of OFDM? In the OFDM here you are going to significantly, the word is going to dominate the orthogonality. What is going to be orthogonality means? Whatever the subcarriers you are going to be choosing, the subcarriers should be the integer multiple of the fundamental carrier frequency, whatever you are going to be considering. Okay. So this leads to observe what is the fundamental difference between the FDM and the OFDM. Okay. So here you see why you need to have orthogonality. Why you need to have orthogonality? Why it is going to be in the FDM and also you are going to be implementing in the multi-carrier communication, and OFDM also you are going to be implementing in the multi-carrier communication. What is the significance of orthogonality means? Once you are having the orthogonality, you can able to allow the overlapping of the spectrum. Once you are not having the orthogonality at the receiver side, it is going to be degrade the system performance. Once there is no orthogonality, there will be a intercarrier interference. So intercarrier interference when it is going to be existing means whenever you are not having the proper orthogonality. So here in the OFDM you are going to be allowing the multiple carriers, and also you are going to be spectrum is going to be overlap, and here the key word here you can understand, whereas in the case of frequency division multiplexing, there you need to have a guard time. Whereas in the case of orthogonal frequency division multiplexing, here you have the guard time. Where there you have the guard frequency, where here you have the guard time. Let's see what is the significance of the guard time in the OFDM system in the further slide. So this typical example is going to be specify what is the fundamental difference between the FDM and the OFDM. Okay. Otherwise you can say single carrier system and the multiple carrier system. Simply multi-carrier system is nothing but the OFDM. Whenever the carriers will have been considered perfectly orthogonal, then we are going to be saying it as a OFDM. Otherwise it is going to be considered as a multi-carrier communication system. See simple example here. Here you are having the data, block of data you are supposed to transmit. Whenever you have a single carrier, you are going to be transmitting all the data over a single carrier. Like the example whatever here I have been specified that a single truck is going to be carrying the complete data. A single truck is going to be carrying the complete data. So whereas in the case of OFDM, what it is going to be happening, you are splitting the data into the blocks. Whenever you have been splitted the data into the blocks, you are having multiple carriers, like as whatever the multiple lorries you have been used to transport your data. Whenever any kind of accident is going to be only one truck is going to be loose and remaining trucks is going to be reach the destination. So by this we can understand that it is if you are supposed to interpret the same kind of analogy for the wireless communication, a particular band of frequencies is going to be affected by your channel response. All the frequencies is not going to be affected equally by the channel response. So whatever the subcarriers which is going to be getting the deep attenuation, that data is going to be lost, remaining data is going to be reaching to the receiver. So from this diagram it is clear that what is the fundamental difference between a single carrier system and the multiple carrier system or the OFDM system. Right? So this block diagram is going to be showing that how you are going to be implementing the OFDM modulation system. So let's start with the first block. So here you have a serial to parallel converter. So it is clear that whatever the source generator, you have the source generator is going to generate the data. The data will be in the bits, and the data is going to be in the serial manner, and that has to convert into the parallel. What should be the symbol? Whenever you are going to be converting into the parallel, what should be the each parallel line? Okay, how many number of bits should be in the each parallel line is going to be depending upon what type of modulation technique here you are going to be implementing. So if you are going to be implementing the BPSK, QPSK, or 8PSK, or CAM, or 16 CAM, or 64 CAM, depending upon the number of bits you are going to be considering into the parallel. So it is quite simple whatever we have been studied in the digital modulation techniques. Then after here you are having the N point IFFT. So what is the significance of endpoint IFD? After this phase, we need to modulate our data over the multiple subcarriers, where the multiple subcarriers should be the completely orthogonal. So that is going to be implementing by the LIFT, where this LIFT is going to be providing the OFDM modulation. From the 1971 paper, it has been revealed that you can implement the OFDM modulation or multi-carrier modulation by simply implementing the NIFT, IFFT. FFT or IFFT. At the receiver side you are going to be using the FFT, and at the transmitting side you are going to be using the IFFT. So another limitation for your OFDM system, whenever you are going to be transmitting the data, you need to have the number of subcarriers. The number of subcarriers should be the power of 2. Why that limitation means whatever the IFFT algorithm you are going to be implementing, all that you are going to be considering the power of 2. So that's why whatever the number of subcarriers you are going to be considering, the subcarrier should be power of 2. Okay? So simply this NIFT block is going to be providing the OFDM modulation. Then after here you are going to be adding the cyclic prefix. So what is the significance of cyclic prefix? Let me explain with some example. So if you consider a single carrier communication system, what should be the symbol type? So why? Because it is very important to discuss about the symbol type. Why? Because we are in the wireless communication, the ISA is more significant. The main objective is you need to overcome the inter-symbol interference. So if you consider a single carrier system, so only one carrier you are having over the bandwidth B you are transmitting. So what will be the symbol time? Means the symbol time is going to be the 1 by B. Okay. So in the case of multi-carrier system, so the symbol time is going to be M by B. Why? Because n number of subcarriers we are having, n number of subcarriers you are transmitting over bandwidth B. So that means that the symbol time has been greatly increased by N. The symbol time has been greatly increased by N. So we are fulfilling our requirement that if you want to overcome the inter-symbol interference, the symbol time should be made sufficiently large, then you can overcome the inter-symbol interference. So this N by B, by this N by B you can say that you can overcome the inter-symbol interference, whereas compared with the single carrier system where we have been showing it as a 1 by B. So here you are having the N by B. So what if you understand in a diagrammatic manner? So if you consider this is the timeline. So in the case of single carrier system, so this will be the symbol time. So here if you observe the multi-carrier communication system, you have been increasing the symbol duration. So by the increasing the symbol duration by N by B, so that this much time it is going to be taking. So compared to the single carrier communication system, the symbol time is very small. In the multi-carrier system, the symbol time is very large. So by this you can say you have made significantly large of your symbol duration. So by this you can say that even though there is any kind of time dispersion, worst case of dispersion, you can say that you can overcome the inter-symbol interference. So practically you can't say that you can completely overcome the inter-symbol interference. Compared to the single carrier system, significantly you can reduce the inter-symbol interference effect in the OFDM system. So what is the requirement of cyclic prefix means? Whatever the effect you are going to be say, still you may have inter-symbol interference effect that should be reduced. So whatever may be the time delay spread you are going to be expecting, that much amount of time you are going to be appending the data in front of your original data. That much amount of time you are appending. How you are appending that time is by increasing the symbol duration. Whatever the data already which is available in your original symbol, the part of data you are going to be inserting or you are going to be adding at your starting of your symbol. So by this you can overcome the inter-symbol interference. You can greatly reduce the inter-symbol interference. So next you see, after adding the cyclic prefix, there you are having the parallel to serial converter. After parallel to serial converter, finally you are having the digital to analog converter. Finally you are going to be up-converting the signal. After up-converting the signal, again it is going to be transmitted over the channel. Let's see what kind of impairments you are having briefly in the multi-path channel. So then after you are having receiver side. whatever process you have done in the transmitting side, quite opposite process you are going to be done at the receiving side, and finally you are going to be retrieving the data without any kind of distortion and ideal condition. Practically you may have a distortion that will be analyzed by the bit error rate. So next slide. So what are the problems associated with the OFDM communication system? Intercarrier interference. Why you are getting intercarrier interference means, so if you are not able to maintain the orthogonality in such situations, it is going to be deviate. So in such situations, it is going to be interfering with the another carrier. So next one, intersymbol interference, already we have discussed. High vulnerability to synchronization errors. The synchronization is more important or crucial factor in the OFDM system, where even small carrier frequency offset is going to be leads to reduce the performance of your system, or small timing offset is also going to be reduce the your system performance. So next, if you see, high vulnerable to the non-linearity. Non-linearity, where this kind of non-linearity is going to be present means, so whatever may be the RF sections we have been present in the implementation of the OFDM system, so that leads to generate the subharmonic frequencies, where the subharmonic frequencies may be interfere with your original carriers. This leads to reduce the system performance. So next. So what are the different challenges you can see in the OFDM means, whenever the transmitting frequency is not going to be equal to the receiver frequency, what are the different kind of situations you are having? Same frequency, different phase. This is also reducing the performance. Slight different frequencies, small frequency offset, asynchronous, totally different frequencies. So timing sampling, whatever the sampling time we are having at the transmitter, the same sampling time we need to have at the receiver side, and symbol timing is unknown at the receiver, peak to average power ratio. This is one kind of parameter which leads to get the non-linear distortion at the receiver side, and dynamic range at the output of IFFT is much larger at input. Okay, so once you are going to be reducing the IFFT size, it can reduce the effect of PFBR. It can reduce the effect of PFBR. And most important thing is channel expression for time varying environment. So already all of you know that channel is unpredictable. So you need to predict the channel characteristics. Once you can able to predict the channel characteristics without any kind of distortion, you can able to retrieve what was the data at the receiving end. So you can implement any kind of algorithms for the channel predictions. So this concludes on what are the different how we are implementing the OFDM, what are the difficulties we are having in implementation of the OFDM, and how you can overcome these difficulties whatever we have discussed in the class. Thank you.